In 1940, Joseph Speils, a black man, was accused of raping a rich white woman. Speils was born in Lafayette, Louisiana in 1909, married at age 17, left his wife after 3 months, and entered the army, from which he was dishonorably discharged after getting drunk, stealing an officer's car, and crashing it. At the time of the rape accusation, he was living in Greenwich, Connecticut with his girlfriend Vergis Clark, who was employed by the Strubyings family as a cook. Speils worked as the family chauffeur. Clark and Speils lived in the mansion's attic. On the night in question, December 10th to 11th, 1940, Eleanor Strubying accused Speils of raping her 4 times in her bedroom and then kidnapping her, forcing her to write a ransom note for $5,000, and attempting to murder her by throwing her from a bridge. The next morning, December 11th, Strubying was found by 2 truck drivers by the Kensico Reservoir in Westchester County, New York, soaking wet and injured. She told the police, "My houseman must have gone berserk. He came to my bedroom door with a knife and raped me. I'm awfully glad to be alive. I don't think I could have stood it much longer." Police arrested Joseph Speils, and after 17 hours of questioning, Speils confessed to being intimate with Strubying but did not confess to raping her. At his trial, which became an international sensation, Speils was represented by Samuel Friedman and future Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. From the witness stand, Speils said that he went to her bedroom to ask for money to send to his sick mother. Wearing nothing but a silk robe, she let him in. He said that not only did she readily give him the money, but she led him on. Speils said he expressed to her his interest in having an affair, to which she agreed as long as no one found out. He didn't deny having sex with her, but denied using any sort of force, claiming that it was consensual. He said she didn't want to do it in the bedroom for fear of being discovered after her pet schnauzer started barking, so they went down to the garage and had sex in the car. They stopped intercourse when the fear of getting pregnant came over Eleanor. "We stopped and I had a discharge in my pocket handkerchief." He then suggested they go for a drive, which Eleanor said would be okay, and she put on her fur coat. Yet even the car ride was making her nervous of being discovered. She told him to drive into New York, then suddenly instructed him to pull over at the Kensico Reservoir, where she darted from the car. Speils claims he pleaded with her to return home, but he decided not to chase after her for fear that she would hurt herself. She said that she was all right and for me to go on home, he told his lawyers. He left and went to play blackjack at a friend's house before returning home. Strubying's testimony was riddled with lies and half-truths easily taken apart by Thurgood Marshall. Strubying said that Speils attacked her when she came out of the shower. She said she screamed, hoping to wake his common-law wife, Vergis Clark, who was asleep upstairs in an attic bedroom. Eleanor claimed Speils hurled her onto the bed. She struggled at first, but he threatened to kill her. "I was frightened to death and could hardly breathe," she said. She stated that Speils had raped her a total of 4 times that night while her hands were tied. She added that Speils told her he was kidnapping her and forced her to compose a $5,000 ransom note to her husband who was away in Cincinnati. Speils drove her in her own car to the Kensico Reservoir in Westchester County just over the New York state line. Bound and gagged, she complained that the bonds on her hands were cutting into her skin. He cut them before ordering her out of the car. He threw her into the water to get rid of her, as she said, but that she was able to take off her heavy fur coat and undo the ropes that bound her legs. "But he stood at the top of the bank throwing stones at me, and I decided to float as if I were dead, hoping to fool him into leaving." After Speils was gone, she swam the rest of the way to the shore. When asked if she could in fact not recall what she had done to fight off her attacker, she responded in near tears, "I don't remember. I've tried to forget it. I was so frightened, so petrified, I didn't know what to do." Her lack of detail in recounting the attack, as well as her tendency to jump around timeways when describing the events of that night, contributed to the jury's doubt. Also, the detectives were never able to find the ransom note or the ropes that she said Joseph Speils used to tie her up. In addition, the defense pointed out that she never called the police during periods of time when she was by herself during the ordeal. Under cross-examination, she became angry and fired terse replies, especially when the defense brought up the facts of her several marriages and the previous charges against her of engaging in extramarital affairs. The clincher was her claim that Speil had raped her 4 times in a 4-hour period. Thurgood Marshall later said he was supposed to have raped this woman 4 times in one night. All I got to tell you is when the story got in the newspaper, all the secretaries, all of them, came and said, "Hey, defend that man. We want to see it. 4 times. Ha ha. Ha ha. 4 times in one night. Yeah, bring him in here, let us see him." I told him get out of my office. The jury had deliberated for nearly 13 hours before it acquitted Speil on January 31, 1941. John K. Strubying stood by his wife throughout the entire episode. The Strubyings moved from Greenwich to Lyme and remained together until John Strubying's death in 1961, after which Eleanor married a well-known New Haven attorney. Joe Speil and Vergus Clark left Connecticut for East Orange, New Jersey. Speil died in 1968.